everybody. So, one genre of films that I really like, but we don't really seem to make anymore, are sword and sandal movies, right? These are your Conan-type movies, where it's people running around in primitive guards, swinging their swords, usually a big muscle-bound guy. I really enjoy these movies. They're always going to be cheesy, but they're going to have a nice epic theme song. And while they're never good, they're usually a pretty good time. So, with that in mind, let's find out what happens if we replace our big, muscle-bound Conan type with two Playboy playmates. This is Sorceress. Alright, I have to admit, that is a pretty epic theme. Clearly, we are in for some great fantasy adventure. We open with a late-night flight through the woods. And just to set the tone for the movie here, I'm going to let you hear the very first line of dialogue.
We have them now! Onward!
That's right, the acting's not going to get any better than that. Apparently, a small group of people are trying to steal two babies away from an evil wizard. It turns out that the evil wizard had promised his evil god that he would sacrifice his firstborn child in order to gain super magical powers. The only problem is, he didn't know he was going to have twins. So when he finally captures these people who have made off with his babies, and he finds out, oh my gosh, there's an extra baby, he starts saying, which one was born first? Which one was born first? And nobody will tell him. And this turns out to be a real problem for him. Why don't you kill both of them? I mean, it's an evil god, you're an evil wizard. Basically, if you kill both of them, then your evil god gets the firstborn, guaranteed, and then bonus baby! For extra badness! Why is this so difficult? To try and get his baby mama to reveal which was born first, he has his henchman threaten to cut out her womb with the most absurd-looking knife I've ever seen. So basically, she has to choose between never being able to have children again or watching one of her babies murdered right in front of her right now. Yeah, that's a real Sophie's choice. Jesus! That's grim! The good wizard arrives, too late to save the disemboweled mama, but just in time to kill all the evil henchmen before killing the evil wizard himself. But he reveals to us that the evil wizard actually has 3 lives, and this is only his first life. How does he have 3 lives? Why doesn't the good wizard have 3 lives? Never addressed, doesn't matter.
Take my babies. Dragon will come again. And again he will seek his firstborn.
I will. And they will become great warriors. And they will take vengeance.
They are girl children.
Girl children. Ah, the sport you gods have with us mortals.
Hey, buddy. This is America. Women can be anything they want to be. But the good wizard does choose to use his magic powers to he touches them, and they get amazing fighting skills and magical abilities. Dude, if you can just and give somebody amazing fighting skills, why don't you just go to like any peasant village and just go build yourself a quick army, go take down all of the evil wizard stuff. If all it takes is a touch and boom, magic, boom, fighting skills, why is this even a problem? Instead, the good wizard drops the babies off with a friend of his who just had a baby girl and instructs him to raise the twins secretly as boys to protect their identity. I really need you to remember this point, okay? Look at me. He is instructed to secretly raise these twin girls as boys to protect their identity. Did that sink in? Are we good? Let's move on. 20 years later, the evil wizard is resurrected, and the first thing he's gonna do is look for his twin daughters. Not even an offer of a roll in the hay from his henchwoman can distract him from his plan. Instead, he speaks to his assembled warriors, an army we can't even see the full scope of, because camera angles. And he promises each and every one of them that they will rule a nation, and that they will each have an army larger than the world has ever known. Evil dude? You got a lot of guys in that army. I think you might be overestimating both the size of the world and the population of it. if you're going to give each of them a nation. And then each one of those nations is going to have an army larger than the world has ever seen. Where are you going to get all the people for all those armies? And why do they need all those armies? If all of your minions are going to be ruling nations, are you just going to let them be fighting each other? Because I don't know how much of the Earth is going to be left after you portion it out to everybody. And what's left for you? Why do you need armies bigger than the world has ever seen if the only people you're going to fight are your buddy who also has an army larger than the world has ever seen? I don't... But I guess this motivational speech that leaves me with so many questions is not really the point of this movie. So let's check in with how our two boys are doing now that they're 20 years old. That's right, they're skinny dipping in a pond. You know, it's going to be really difficult for you to pretend to be boys if you get naked in public. I'm just saying, if my life depended on me pretending to be a different gender than I am, I would be wearing clothes all the time unless I absolutely had to be naked. And then I would make sure nobody was around and that I was indoors. That's just me. While they're skinny dipping, a satyr finds them. He actually turns out to be a major character in the movie, even though he can only communicate through goat noises, which is odd because, I mean, most of this all is human. I mean, it's a human throat, which mostly human face, upper torso. But he only communicates through goat noises. Okay. The two boys are very confused by his penis. They don't know what it is. They think it might be a weapon. The two of you are 20 years old, in an era where 14 is probably a good age to become a mom. You've got a sister. You're not living in the best of environments. Odds are you've seen your dad's penis at least once, but you don't know what a penis is. So they go ahead and beat up the satyr while they're completely naked and return to the village. Hopefully to ask somebody to give these 20-year-old women a talk about the birds and the bees. That's your boy disguise? Ignoring the super short skirt, you can't see, but I'm gesturing to my legs down here, with your super short skirt that shows off your very feminine legs. Ignoring that, I can see the shape of your breasts through your clothing, because you're not built like boys, you're Playboy playmates. How on earth is anybody supposed to confuse you two for boys? Your one job is to pretend to be boys, and so far I've seen you skinny dipping and wearing mini skirts and having your boobs show through your clothes. You had one job and you're not even trying. They return to find their village under attack. The evil troops are looking for the twins. The foster father claims not to know anything about them and that he only has one daughter, and, well, I'm going to let him explain it to you himself.
I know nothing of maidens, save my only daughter, whom you must know, since your own men are even now violating her.
Yeah, that's a man talking about his daughter being raped, with all of the passion and emotion that I order food at a drive-thru. This is the peak of acting in this movie. Using their magically enhanced fighting skills, the two girls kick butt and take down every soldier that invaded the village. Sadly, too late to save any of the villagers' lives. After the battle, the satyr shows up again with his Viking pal, who congratulates the two lads on their amazing fighting skills. Gee, warrior, it sure would have been cool if you'd been here 5 minutes earlier and maybe could have saved a life or two. Also, he immediately looks at these two and go, oh, they're boys. I can tell they're boys by their short skirt and their breasts. Like, they don't say that they're boys. He just looks at them and goes, boys. Did Vikings traditionally have an issue with this sort of thing? After burning the bodies, the good wizard shows up and grants the twins the last of his powers, although he already gave them powers. But apparently here's the last of his magical powers and warns them about the evil wizard before walking into a fire and dying? I don't know why. He just says, you know, my time is up, and he walks into the fire and dies. Right before he does that, though, he gives them the name of a god and tells them to use it in a time of dire need. the twins decide to travel with the Viking and the satyr. The Viking who doesn't know the difference between boys and girls, apparently. Our heroes plan to meet up with a friend of the Viking, who's a barbarian. I mean, throughout the entire movie, he's continually called a barbarian. That's how we know that he is one. Everybody also seems to either know or learn pretty quick that he's the prince of a kingdom, but he's still a barbarian. He hates fighting, but he's still a barbarian. He likes to relax in the lap of luxury, as barbarians do. I honestly have no clue why he's a barbarian. So the barbarian cheats at some dice, and a huge citywide brawl ensues, and all of our heroes manage to get away, and the girls decide it's time to clean themselves off. So they start stripping down in front of the Viking, the barbarian, and the satyr, revealing themselves to be women! Okay. Forget about trying to hide your gender to protect yourselves. Pretty easy, since you seem to have already done that. What about just common decency? Why are you just stripping down naked in front of people you just met, without any hint of hesitation? What is that? And if you're that willing to just get naked in public, if you have no shame and are just like, let me just whoosh-wah, how have you hidden the fact that you're girls for 20 years?
But you're girls.
Girls? What do you mean?
I mean, you're not boys.
We're not? Not boys? Are you sure? See, Mira, didn't I tell you there was something wrong? Well, that's what Papa told us. What's the difference, really?
Alright. Let me try and get this straight. The man who was asked to raise you as boys simply told you were boys, and that was the end of his explanation. You then spent the next 20 years of your life with no concept of shame or decency. Have a regular stepsister, live in a small town, you're 20 years old, in a day and age where, again, 14 or 15 is a good mom-rearing age, and you have zero concept of the difference between men and women. So you didn't even get a birds and the bees talk by your 20s. Why did we bother to include the whole raise them as boys thing? Because from here on, and we're, what, 30 minutes into the movie? From here on, it's not a point anymore. They're very clearly not boys, and they don't even try to hide it anymore. So for the first 30 minutes, we've said they're going to be raised as boys, shown them to be women, said they're boys, showed them to be women. What was the point of this whole plot? Why even say it if nobody's going to put even the slightest amount of effort into it? I don't understand. I got nothing. I don't know what the point of this is at all. They're clearly women. They've always clearly been women, and they don't even know they're not supposed to look like women because they don't know that women look different than men. At one point, the barbarian even says, "Didn't you ever wonder about these?" And they went, meh. What the hell? The twins are left alone in hiding for about 5 seconds before they're tricked and caught by the evil forces of the wizard. Luckily, the satyr sees them getting caught, and he's able to get the Viking and barbarian and explain to them what happened through a very elaborate and sexist pantomime. Using a magical ritual, the evil henchwoman is easily able to determine which one of those two is the firstborn. That ceremony to determine which is which took you like 2 minutes. So why was it such a big issue at the beginning of the movie that he couldn't figure out which was which if he had access to this very quick ceremony? Why did it matter? After a daring rescue, the same theme song they use for every action sequence, our heroes all manage to escape and decide to hide out in the Forbidden Forest, because that totally sounds like a safe place to hide. The evil henchwoman again offers the wizard a roll in the hay, because she's a woman with urges. And he says he can't, it would break his vows. But it's made very clear in this conversation that he does intend to rape his eldest daughter before sacrificing her. This movie is weirdly dark in places. The henchwoman assigns her weird monkey minion to capture the twins and promises him that if he's able to bring the twins back, he can have the second-born twin for his own pleasure. Movie! I did not need that visual, okay? In the last 2 minutes, in this scene, we have added incest and bestiality to the plot. Can we please stop doing that? While the Viking tries to get the twins to talk about where babies come from, a group of monkey minions throw down exploding fruit filled with laughing gas. That's a sentence I never thought I'd say. While everyone is laughing, the monkey minion makes off with the eldest twin. He got lucky, I guess, and grabbed the right one. They would have gotten both twins, but the Viking was able to get an arrow in the butt of one of the monkeys. Oh, they also grabbed the barbarian. I should probably add that. It seems important. So now we're split into two groups, right? The barbarian and what we're going to call twin number 1 is gone off to the evil wizard. Twin 2, the Viking and the satyr, are still together in the Forbidden Woods. The meeting between twin 1 and evil wizard goes very quickly. You're evil! You killed my mother! But I'm your father. Oh! Really? Well, okay, Dad. That's it. I mean, it's that quick. It happens that fast. She also begs her father to show how kind he is by sparing her barbarian friend, which he happily agrees to do, and she leaves the room, and that's when they discover that the barbarian has a loaded set of dice in his pouch. He's been cheating at dice, and in this kingdom, that heinous crime can only be dealt with by one punishment.
You made your point. You don't have to stick it to me.
Yup. In this world, cheating at dice means getting impaled with a very sharp spike up your rectum. Luckily for him, they find an ancient medallion in his clothes before he gets, shish kebabbed. This medallion proves that he's of the ancient blood, which, bonus, means that he can have sex with twin number 1 before the sacrifice instead of her dad. Thank you, movie, for sparing me that. The wizard tells his daughter that she's to hook up with the barbarian. She's okay with this because she completely trusts the man she's been told her entire life is evil. I'm not just saying that. She tells him, I completely trust you. You know what's best for me. Maybe that whole we're supposed to be boys thing wasn't poor writing. Maybe it was the movie's way of telling us how stupid these two chicks are. The henchwoman tells the barbarian that he is to sleep with twin number 1, then sacrifice her at the ceremony, then kill the evil wizard so that he can then hook up with the evil henchwoman and they can just have sex for eternity. Because again, she is one horny mama jama. He just agrees to this plan and walks off. It's mildly hinted that the two of them have been given this drink that may make them under mind control powers. I don't know. I'm reading into it to get that. Because I prefer it to the idea that they're just both dumb. Anyway, the evil wizard then comes out from behind a curtain and goes, I heard what you told him. She says, yes, now he's under my control. It's not clear if she really wants him to kill the wizard, or that was just the motivation to get him to kill twin number 1. But if you need motivation to get him to kill twin number 1, then he can't be under the mind control I just alluded to. And if you really want him to kill the wizard, why doesn't that become a plot point? Because it's never addressed again after this scene. What are you doing to me, movie? While twin number 1 is making love to the barbarian, the other sister feels all of the effects. So she starts writhing in orgasm on the ground next to the Viking and the satyr. The Viking is able to tell what's going on by looking at her, as anybody would, the way she's moaning and everything, but he's actually able to tell who she's having sex with based on the way she's writhing around. He's able to look and go, oh, yep, that's my barbarian friend at work. How do you know that? How many times have you watched him make love to women that you're able to identify it without him there? I have a lot of questions, and I don't think I want any of them really answered. At one point, the satyr goes to make a move at her, and the Viking stops her. So again, we're saved a bestiality scene. Thank you, movie. Is this a common thing? Do all twins experience this? Because that's got to be awkward. If every time your twin has sex, you feel the effects. I feel like I need to research this. I feel like I need to go prowling for twins. As the Viking and Twin 2 approach the castle to free our heroes, They are ambushed. And at this point, I don't know if Barbarian and Twin 1 are ensorcelled or not. I'm going to choose to believe that they are because it makes them less stupid. But it's never explained. So anyway, Twin 2 and the Viking are sent down to the crypts to have to fight undead monsters so that they can't interfere in the upcoming ceremony. The monkey minion decides he has to help Twin number 2 because he was promised that she could be his plaything. Man, that is all kinds of creepy. Do we really have to keep on with that subplot? Using a sword given to him by the monkey minion, who then vanishes from the movie entirely, the satyr goes to a nearby village and raises up an army of peasants and goats to go and storm the castle. I'm pretty impressed that he's able to raise an army, considering all he can do is go and thus he gets an army of men and goats to follow him into battle. Trapped in the crypts, faced by undead monsters, Twin number 2 finally remembers the name of the ancient god given to her by the good wizard, and calling it out, summons a winged lion tar of some kind, and it also apparently brings Twin 1 and the Barbarian to their senses, and they begin fighting the hordes of enemies, while winged Aslan looks on from above. To try and appease his evil god, the wizard stabs his henchwoman to death and says, take her instead, which summons an ugly woman's face in the sky, and she shoots laser beams through her eyes. So this is our real battle. Winged Aslan versus the Spider-Woman. If all you needed to do was kill your henchwoman instead of your firstborn daughter to get the magical powers that you sought, what was the point of this entire movie? Yeah? No? Nothing? Fine. Both twins are now reunited, and the battle rages on. Then, all of the undead crypt monsters crawl out of the crypt where Twin 2 and the Viking left them. They start towards the group, and then they see the group of virgin sacrifices standing by the castle gates and immediately chase after them. Our heroes take a break from the fighting to all look over. Then the Viking says, well, they have been buried for 1,000 years. And our heroes all shrug and then go back to fighting. So, when faced with an army of undead that are going to go and rape a bunch of innocent virgins, your response is to crack a joke and make no effort to save them. This movie is so dark. Anyway, winged Aslan blows up the Spider Lady, the Satyr's army arrives to help clean up the rest of the army, and the twins kill the evil wizard for a second time. The end! Or is it? After all, the wizard had 3 lives. How are they going to deal with that? How are they going to resolve it? What do you mean they aren't? But it's a burning question. It needs to be answered. What are they going to show us instead?
Well, my lad, isn't one enough for you?
You forget, Baldar. These two are one.
Yep, the 2 girls saved the world, and as a reward, they get to share a man. The Viking gets nobody. The monkey minion is never heard from again, nor is the satyr. These 2 women saved the world, and their reward is the barbarian gets a harem. Never addressing the issue of the 3rd life of the wizard. And, oddly enough, never addressing the other burning question I've had since this movie began. Which one of them was the sorceress? Because there's 2 of them. The movie is called Sorceress. There's 2 of them. They're both granted magical powers. We never see them use magical powers. We see them use their fighting abilities, but they were granted both magic and fighting abilities. We never see them use any of the good wizard's magic that he gave them before he killed himself. And yet, the movie is called Sorceress. And there's 2 of them. I know I'm harping on that much more than I should be, considering the odd nature of this movie. The whole disguise them as boys subplot that never actually does anything. It never even protects them from being found. I mean, they're found as soon as the guy resurrects. So even the half-hearted attempt to pretend to be boys didn't do anything. I don't know why that subplot exists. I don't know why the barbarian who hates to fight ends up with both the girls when they're the main characters. So much. This movie's dumb. I mean, it's really, really dumb. And then it all culminates in a giant claymation battle in the sky. What is that? If you're looking for something stupid with sword fights and breasts, this movie will satisfy your needs. It's pretty dumb, though. I can't really defend any aspect of it apart from it's. I guess it's entertaining just because of the really bad acting. It ain't good. It can't see good on a clear day with a telescope. Anyway, that's it. That's all I've got. I can't. I'm gonna guess that maybe they were hoping for a sequel. That's why the wizard still has a third life. Keep holding your breath, guys. They're gonna make that sequel any day now. See you guys next time.
Hi, I'm Luke Bryan, two-time CMA Entertainer of the Year. If I ever learn how to read, I'm going to read The Great Platypus Caper by Jeff Hillary because I believe in supporting fine literature. I'm Luke Bryan. Hi.
The Good Wizard can just... Oh, I skipped the whole thing about the Good Wizard. So, the Good Wizard arrives. The Good Wizard arrives, too, but not before revealing to us that the wizard has 3 lives. The evil one has 3. Oh my god. Almost done. Almost done with this movie. Thank God it's done. Although it had some boobs, the rest was really painful.